The 1975 Australian 20-cent coin holds a small but important place in the numismatic and historical narrative of Australia's decimal currency system, which itself reflects the nation's mid-20th century journey towards modernization, economic stability, and the reaffirmation of its constitutional monarchy under Queen Elizabeth II. Historical background: Australia officially transitioned to decimal currency on 14th of February 1966, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system that had been in use since the country's colonial days. The shift to decimal currency marked a significant modernization of Australia's economy, simplifying financial transactions and bringing Australia more in line with international standards. The 20-cent coin was introduced as part of this transition, effectively replacing the florin, which was worth 2 shillings or 1/10 of a pound. By 1975, Australia was almost a decade into its decimal currency era. The country was also undergoing a series of significant political and social changes during this time. The 1970s saw Australia grappling with the aftermath of the Vietnam War, a growing national identity independent of Britain, and internal political turmoil such as the dismissal of Prime Minister Gough Whitlam's government in late 1975, one of the most dramatic events in Australian political history. Amidst these developments, the Australian coins in circulation continued to carry the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, emphasizing the nation's continued connection to the British Crown and its constitutional monarchy status. Although Australia was becoming more culturally independent, the monarchy remained an enduring symbol of continuity, tradition, and stability during times of rapid change. Obverse design. Queen Elizabeth II. The obverse of the 1975 20-cent coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who had been reigning since 1952. This particular portrait was designed by Arnold Machine Obiare, a prominent British sculptor, whose effigy of the Queen was used on Australian coinage from 1966 until 1984. Machine's portrait presents the Queen in a right-facing profile, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most recognizable and frequently depicted pieces of royal jewelry. Unlike some more formal portrayals, Machine's design sought to balance elegance with accessibility, showing the Queen as both a sovereign and a modern woman of her time. The tiara itself has an interesting history, originally a wedding gift from Queen Mary to Elizabeth II in 1947. Surrounding the portrait is the legend, Elizabeth II Australia, 1975. This inscription denotes both the Queen's name and title, the issuing country, and the year of minting. The placement of the date directly on the obverse was standard practice for Australian coins of this period. Reverse design, the platypus. The reverse of the coin showcases one of Australia's most iconic and unique animals, the platypus, Ornithorhynchus anatomist. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, an Australian goldsmith and master engraver, who was appointed as the designer for Australia's decimal coin series. The platypus design captures the animal in fluid underwater motion, emphasizing its distinctive bill, webbed feet, and broad tail. The graceful depiction symbolizes not only Australia's rich and diverse wildlife, but also its distinct identity as a land with species found nowhere else on Earth. The number 20 appears prominently on the reverse, indicating the coin's denomination. Devlin's reverse designs for Australia's decimal series are highly praised for their artistry, balance, and cultural representation, and the platypus remains one of his most beloved designs. Technical specifications: composition, cupro-nickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel, diameter, 28.52 meter, thickness, approximately 2 polymer mass, 11.31 grams. Edge, milled, reeded. The substantial size and weight of the 20-cent coin made it easily distinguishable from other denominations, both visually and tactically. The milled edge served not only an aesthetic purpose, but also a practical one, making it easier for the visually impaired to identify the coin by touch. Mintage and circulation in 1975, approximately 47.1 million 20-cent coins were struck for circulation at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra. This relatively high mintage ensured the coin would become a very common piece in daily commerce. Because of its commonness, most circulated examples from 1975 carry only minimal collector premium, unless in particularly high grades. However, uncirculated and proof specimens are of interest to collectors, particularly as part of complete decimal series collections. Numismatic value and rarity. For the average circulated 1975 20-cent coin, its value remains close to its face value due to the high mintage and wide survival rate. However, uncirculated coins, graded MS-65 and above, can attract modest premiums, often valued between $5 to $20 AUD depending on condition. Proof versions were not issued for circulation but can be found in collector sets. These proof coins display deeply mirrored fields and frosted devices, showcasing Devlin's platypus design with exceptional clarity. There are no widely recognized major errors or varieties for the 1975 20-cent coin, though error collectors occasionally seek out misstrikes, off-centers, or die cracks, which can increase a coin's interest and value. The broader significance, the 1975 Australian 20-cent coin encapsulates much more than just its face value. It reflects the maturation of Australia's decimal currency system, the enduring symbolism of Queen Elizabeth II during a time of global and national change, the celebration of Australian fauna, promoting a sense of national pride and identity, the exquisite artistry of both Arnold Machin and Stuart Devlin, two master designers whose work helped define the look of Australian coinage for decades. Even today, nearly 50 years later, these coins still circulate alongside newer issues, a testament to the durability of their design, materials, and production quality. For collectors and historians, the 1975 20-cent coin is a small but tangible link to Australia's evolving story, a daily reminder of monarchy, nature, and modernity intertwined in metal. Thigh next top. The 1976 Australian 20-cent coin is part of Australia's post-decimal coinage series, a fascinating period in numismatic history that reflects Australia's transition into a fully decimalized currency system, its ties to the British monarchy, and the emerging cultural identity of the nation in the latter half of the 20th century. Background to decimalization and the introduction of the 20-cent coin. Australia officially introduced decimal currency on 14th of February 1966, switching from the British-influenced system of pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents. The old system, 1 pound forced 20 shillings. 1 shilling, or 12 pence, was cumbersome, complicated, and increasingly out of sync with the modern economic realities of the 20th century. The decimalization process was years in planning, aimed at simplifying accounting, pricing, education, and economic calculations for the growing nation. The 20-cent coin replaced the florin, 2 shillings, which had a face value of 1/10 of a pound, and hence directly converted to 20 cents. The new coin not only replaced the old value, but also symbolized Australia's modernization and detachment from its colonial monetary past, while still maintaining its connection to the British Crown through the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II design. And symbolism obverse, heads, portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The obverse of the 1976 20-cent coin features the effigy of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machin OBE, 1911-1999. This portrait was widely used on Commonwealth coins from the mid-1960s until the mid-1980s. In this depiction, Queen Elizabeth II is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift she received from her grandmother, Queen Mary. The tiara symbolizes both royal elegance and the personal connection within the royal family. Inscription. The legend surrounding the effigy reads, Elizabeth II, Australia, 1976. This succinct inscription communicates the monarch's name, the country of issue, and the year of minting. Reverse. Tails. The reverse side showcases one of Australia's most iconic designs, the platypus, Ornithorhynchus anatinus, swimming gracefully through stylized ripples of water. Designed by Stuart Devlin, 1931-2018, the official gold and silversmith to the Queen, Devlin's platypus design remains highly celebrated for its dynamic movement and representation of Australia's unique fauna. The platypus, as a semi-aquatic monotreme endemic to eastern Australia, was a perfect choice to symbolize Australia's unique biodiversity and environmental heritage. The denomination 20 is boldly displayed, indicating the coin's face value. The fine lines that suggest water motion add a modern artistic flair to the coin's aesthetic. Specifications and composition mass. 1131 grams diameter, 2852 meteor, thickness, 250 medj, milled, reeded. Composition, 75% copper, 25% nickel, cupro-nickel, minted at Royal Australian Mint, Canberra. The coin's size, weight, and metal content gave it a solid feel in the hand, symbolizing substantial value in an everyday coin during the 1970s. The cupro-nickel composition provided durability, corrosion resistance, and good wear characteristics essential for circulating coinage. Historical context. Australia in 1976, the year 1976, found Australia in a period of political, economic, and cultural transformation. Politics. Malcolm Fraser was Prime Minister, having assumed office in late 1975 following the constitutional crisis that saw Governor-General Sir John Kerr dismiss the Whitlam government. The dismissal and its aftermath profoundly affected Australian politics and the role of the monarchy. Economy. Australia was recovering from global oil shocks and inflationary pressures of the early 1970s. The economy was stabilizing but faced rising unemployment and challenges balancing resources export dependence. Cultural identity. The mid-1970s were a time of asserting Australian identity, increasingly distinct from Britain. While the Queen remained head of state, debates about republicanism, indigenous rights, and multiculturalism were rising topics. Royal connection. Despite these shifts, the enduring presence of Queen Elizabeth II on coinage and national symbols reflected Australia's continuing constitutional monarchy system and historical ties to Britain. Mintage and collectability. Total mintage, 1976. Approximately 47,800,000. This was part of a routine annual minting intended for circulation, meaning the 1976 20-cent coin was fairly common in general use. Because of the large mintage, circulated 1976 20-cent coins typically hold only face value unless in exceptionally well-preserved condition. Collector's value. Circulated condition, usually AUD 0.20 to 1.0 depending on wear. Uncirculated condition, MS65+, can fetch AUD $10-20 or more. Proof strikes, if acquired from sets. Much higher value, but no official proof coinage was issued for general circulation in 1976. Errors such as off-center strikes. Clipped planchets or double strikes can significantly enhance the numismatic value, though such errors are rare for this issue. Numismatic significance. The 1976 20-cent coin holds significant value for collectors for several reasons. Arnold Machine. Portrait period. As part of the Machine portrait series, it represents a numismatically distinct era before the transition to Raphael Makhlouf's effigy in 1985. Devlin's artistic contribution, Stuart Devlin's platypus, remains one of the most beloved Australian coin designs. His ability to capture both realism and movement continues to make this design highly respected worldwide. Decimal coinage transition period. Being part of the first decade of decimalization, the 1976 issue symbolizes Australia's full commitment to its decimal monetary system. Historical marker. Coins like this serve as everyday reminders of Australia's evolving national story, balancing its British Commonwealth legacy with its distinct modern identity. Preservation and grading collectors. Highly valued coins that have been preserved in uncirculated or proof condition. The following grading scale broadly applies: MS6062, uncirculated but with marks. Modest value, MS6365. Choice uncirculated. Much scarcer. Sharp details, minimal contact marks. MS66+, gem uncirculated. Rare, nearly flawless, bright luster, excellent. Eye appeal. Storage in inert holders, dry environments, and minimal handling are key to preserving higher-grade coins. Counterfeits and varieties. No significant counterfeit issues have been reported for the 1976 20-cent coin due to its relatively low value and high mintage. However, some minor varieties exist due to differences in die wear, though none are formally classified as major varieties by the Royal Australian Mint legacy and cultural importance. While it may not be a rare or high-value coin for most collectors, the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin remains a symbol of Australia's post-colonial development, a representation of Queen Elizabeth II's long reign and influence, a beloved piece of numismatic art thanks to Stuart Devlin's masterful design. Nostalgic piece of everyday history for many Australians who handled these coins daily. Summary. The 1976 Australian 20-cent coin is a small but richly meaningful artifact. It sits at the crossroads of art, politics, economy, and daily life, telling the story of Australia's progress in the 20th century. With its dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the dynamic depiction of the platypus, it represents both Australia's ties to its Commonwealth roots and its unique natural heritage. While it may not command great financial value in most cases, its historical, artistic, and sentimental value make it a cherished. The next topic, the 1978 Australian 20-cent coin, is a fascinating piece of numismatic history from the late 20th century. Issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, this coin belongs to Australia's decimal coinage system, which was introduced in 1966, when the country transitioned from the British pound system to the Australian dollar system. The 20-cent coin has played a vital role in daily commerce and offers an insightful glimpse into Australia's cultural, political, and economic history of the time. Obverse design, front side. The obverse of the 1978 20-cent coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machan, an esteemed British sculptor. This effigy was first used on Australian coins in 1966 and remained in use until 1984. Machan's portrait depicts the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a favorite piece of jewelry given to her as a wedding gift. This tiara symbolizes her regal authority and ties to the Commonwealth realms, of which Australia is a prominent member. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions Elizabeth II on the left side, indicating the monarch, Australia 1978 on the right side, denoting the country of issue and the year of minting. The font used is elegant and evenly spaced, reflecting the formal tone appropriate for a coin featuring the sovereign. The portrait is well-centered and framed by a raised rim, which helps protect the design from wear. Reverse design, backside. The reverse of the coin was designed by Stuart Devlin, who served as the official goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen. Devlin's design features the iconic Australian platypus, one of the country's most unique and cherished native animals. The platypus is shown swimming gracefully, its body twisting through the water with stylized ripples that add a dynamic sense of motion and life to the artwork. The denomination 20 is prominently displayed on the reverse, large and bold, situated above the platypus to ensure easy identification of the coin's value. The placement of the number integrates beautifully with the flowing curves of the design, balancing aesthetics and functionality. There is no text other than the denomination on this side, allowing the detailed depiction of the platypus to take center stage. Specifications country: Australia, year of issue: 1978, denomination 20 cents. Monarch: Queen Elizabeth II, composition 75% copper, 25% nickel, commonly known as cupronickel, mass, weight 11.31 grams, diameter 28.52 mm, thickness approximately 2 mm, edge, milled, reeded, mint, Royal Australian Mint, Canberra. Historical context: in 1978, Australia was a stable nation under Queen Elizabeth II's constitutional monarchy. Malcolm Fraser was the Prime Minister at the time, steering the country through economic reforms and foreign policy adjustments. Globally, the Cold War was ongoing, but Australia maintained strong alliances with both the United States and the United Kingdom, while also strengthening its ties within the Asia-Pacific region. Domestically, 1978 was a year of modernization for Australia. The decimal coinage system had by then firmly established itself in Australian society, having replaced the pre-decimal pounds, shillings, and pence just over a decade earlier. The 20-cent coin, as part of everyday commerce, was commonly used for a wide variety of small transactions, buying newspapers, milk, or bus fares, reflecting its essential role in daily life. Mintage and circulation. The mintage of the 1978 20-cent coin was quite substantial, as Australia needed a continuous supply of circulating coinage to meet the demands of its growing economy and population. Over 47,300,000 coins were produced that year. Due to its high mintage and the durable cupronickel alloy, many 1978 20-cent coins remain in circulation or are found in personal collections. Collectability and value A's of today, the 1978 20-cent coin is generally considered common in circulated condition due to its high mintage. In average circulated grades, it usually holds only face value or a small premium for collectors of complete year sets. However, specimens in uncirculated, mint state condition or those struck with errors, such as off-center strikes, double strikes, or die cracks, can fetch higher premiums among collectors. Circulated condition, AUD 0.20 to 1.0. Uncirculated condition, AUD $3 to $10, depending on quality and luster. Error coins. Value varies widely based on rarity and type of error, numismatic importance. The 1978 20-cent coin represents the stability and continuity of Australia's decimal currency system. The combination of Arnold Machine's regal portrait and Stuart Devlin's brilliant wildlife depiction reflects both Australia's British heritage and its unique national identity. The coin's sturdy composition and high-quality design have ensured that many specimens remain in relatively good condition even after decades of circulation. Cultural significance. The choice of the platypus for the reverse design reflects Australia's deep appreciation for its distinctive wildlife. The platypus, being a monotreme, egg-laying mammal, is found only in Australia and has long fascinated both scientists and the general public. Including it on the currency serves as a proud reminder of the country's biodiversity and natural heritage. The image of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse also underscores Australia's constitutional ties to the British Crown. Despite growing Republican sentiments that would arise in later decades, the Queen remained a beloved figure for many Australians at the time. In conclusion, the 1978 Australian 20-cent coin is more than just currency. It is a miniature piece of art and a snapshot of Australia's history, culture, and economy during the late 1970s. Both its obverse and reverse designs are thoughtfully crafted, reflecting the nation's monarchy and unique environment, making it a valuable coin for both numismatists and historians alike. The next topic, the 1981 Australian 20-cent coin, is a fascinating piece that carries with it a rich history, intricate design elements, and represents a significant period in both Australian and Commonwealth numismatic history. Issued by the Royal Australian Mint, the coin was part of the circulating decimal coinage that had been introduced only 15 years earlier in 1966, when Australia transitioned from the pre-decimal currency system of pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents. The 20-cent denomination quickly became an important part of everyday commerce, used widely for small purchases and vending machines, and was appreciated for its convenient size and weight. On the obverse, front side, of the 1981 20-cent coin is a finely detailed portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the artist Arnold Machine. This effigy was widely used on many Commonwealth coins during that period and is characterized by its elegance and realism. In this portrait, Queen Elizabeth II is depicted facing to the right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, which was originally a wedding gift to her grandmother, Queen Mary. Her hair is styled neatly, emphasizing the dignity and grace of her reign. The inscription around the portrait reads, Elizabeth II, Australia, 1981, denoting the monarch, the issuing country, and the year of minting. This simple, clean inscription allowed the portrait itself to be the primary focus of the obverse design, embodying the royal authority and the Commonwealth link to the British Crown, which remained very significant in Australia's national identity during the 20th century. Turning to the reverse, backside of the coin, the main design features the iconic Australian platypus swimming gracefully through water. This reverse design was created by the renowned artist Stuart Devlin, who was the official goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen. The platypus, one of Australia's most distinctive and unique native creatures, symbolizes the extraordinary biodiversity of Australia. The platypus design is dynamic, showing ripples and movement that convey the animal's natural habitat and behavior. The numeral 20 is boldly displayed to the left of the platypus, clearly identifying the denomination of the coin. No other wording appears on the reverse, allowing the elegant image to dominate and symbolize Australia's distinct national identity. The specifications of the 1981 20-cent coin are consistent with those established for the denomination since its inception in 1966. It is made of cupro-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silvery appearance and excellent durability for circulation. The coin has a mass of 11.31 grams, a diameter of 28.65 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.5 millimeters, with a milled, reeded edge to help deter counterfeiting and provide a tactile feel for easy recognition. This size and weight made the 20-cent piece one of the largest circulating coins in Australia's decimal series. In terms of mintage and production, the 1981 20-cent coin was struck in very large numbers to meet the demands of circulation in a growing Australian economy. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced approximately 85.14 million coins for circulation that year. Interestingly, due to the heavy demand, some of the 1981 20-cent coins were also minted overseas at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, Wales, United Kingdom, under a special agreement to supplement domestic production. However, coins produced in Australia and those produced in the UK for circulation were virtually identical in appearance and composition, although there are minor differences detectable by specialists. The year 1981 was a significant period for Australia, still very much under the enduring reign of Queen Elizabeth II, whose influence was present across all aspects of national life. Internationally, it was also the year of the wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer, which added to the public interest in the royal family across the Commonwealth nations, including Australia. From a numismatic and collector perspective, the 1981 20-cent coin is widely available due to its high mintage, and circulated examples typically hold only face value. However, uncirculated specimens, coins in mint condition, and special collector's sets issued by the Royal Australian Mint may have higher collectible value, particularly for those seeking full-date sets of Australian decimal coinage. Some varieties and die differences, such as slight variations in the number of ripples around the platypus or minor die cracks, can also attract the attention of specialized collectors. Finally, the historical and cultural significance of the 1981 20-cent coin lies not only in its utility, but in its reflection of Australia's unique identity, a blend of its British Commonwealth heritage, symbolized by Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and its distinctive native fauna, symbolized by the platypus on the reverse. This coin remains an enduring representation of Australia's proud numismatic tradition, a snapshot of its early decades of decimal coinage, and a small but meaningful artifact of both royal and national history during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II.